Word. It wasn't confusing that time because I don't have Pro anymore. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's call. I know, it's been a while. We've been busy, asking for stuff and living and going to dentist appointments.
And trainings and meetings and things.
All that jazz. So how has the asking for living spaces experience been going?
It's been interesting. I did reach out to a group of women that I'm connected with asking, hey, keep your eye open. Does anybody know somebody who's got a mother-in-law cottage, casita, something like that? One of the gals I know just had rented hers out. It's like, ding dang. Okay. All right. And, we kind of joked, well, if this one doesn't work out, because you got 90 days to figure it out or kick them out kind of thing. I'm like, if it doesn't work out, let me know. One of the people in that group, and it's probably a group of 40, one of the people who has actually come back to me and said, hey, I found this place. Hey, I know this place. And she's come back with, I think it's been 3 places. But like, one doesn't have a stove or a refrigerator and it's like, no, I want appliances. I found that a lot when I lived in Santa Cruz, where it's like, oh, well, you have a hot plate. No, I had more than that when I was in my college dorm, so no. One of them, oh my gosh, one of them, not only did it not have anything, when I lived in Santa Cruz, I lived in a cottage that was about 325 square feet. It's small, but it was me, and it had a sleeping loft, which was helpful, and a backyard that was bigger than the cottage. So it was a great space. Loved living there. One of the places she came back with was half that size. It was 150 square feet. And I'm like, and now it's not just me, it's 2 of us. I'm like, yeah, no, that's a closet. No. And especially for what they were asking for, I'm like,
I'm trying to figure out if my bedroom's that big.
Right?
And all I can fit in here is the bed.
That's a 15 by 10 room, so it's probably more living room-ish. But imagine your living room also contains your bathroom and anything that would resemble a kitchen, and your bed and your living room, and 2 of you in there. Right? I'm like, no, especially again, not for the costs that they were looking for. It's like, for that, we'll stay here. And then there was another one, she came to me, she goes, I don't know if this one is too far out for you, because it's about another half hour south of where she is, and she's a half an hour south of where we are, which would make it difficult for Bear for where he does most of his work. Because it would add easily an hour anytime he has to go out on a job. One way. Easy. Yeah. And they wanted $200 more than what our rent is going up to. So it's like, yeah, that's too far it's too far. All right. It just, what happened is it really had me get very clear on, because I just said, who's got a cottage? And it's like, I didn't put any parameters. I didn't put, here's what we're looking for. So I recognized in my asking, there's that whole be specific piece that I wasn't doing with that. I just wanted some traction and some movement. It's like, okay, I got traction and movement. Now let's get specific. Yeah. So it was good in that way. Nothing has come of it yet, but I know that the perfect space is out there and waiting. And I'm finding it's just being willing to open my mouth. I was having a conversation with somebody about something completely unrelated. And we got to talking about how long we've lived in the area, each of us. And she said something. I said, well, so we're actually looking. And she goes, oh, people rent out spaces where I am all the time. She's I think in a condo. And she's like, some of them, she told me how much she pays because she's in kind of a pricier area. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, oh, it's going to be way too much. And she goes, I actually pay higher than a lot of people rent theirs for here. So I was like, oh, really? So I'm going to start investigating that area.
I
And
love it.
that wasn't even me thinking, oh, I'm going to go do some work on finding a place. It was being willing to open my mouth in what was seemingly an unrelated conversation.
Yeah. So once you realize that there is a potential opportunity, then you ask. I love it.
Yeah. So that's kind of been the adventures of house asking, home front asking.
Home fronts asking. Speaking of home fronts, I've
Yes.
told you, I'll tell the people, I move in 10 days.
Holy crap. Which is awesome. It does feel like this process has been a lengthy one for you.
You know, it only took Twitter 10 years to become an overnight success. It
It's true.
only took me almost 2 years to find out.
And it sounds like it's absolutely amazing for what you guys need and wanted.
Yeah, it's a little over budget for what the honey wanted to pay. So y'all, no boyfriends were killed in the finding of this house has been my disclaimer, because there were moments where I was just like, what is wrong with you? And I still loved him, which is how I know I want to keep him. Um,
There's no body buried in the backyard, so we're good.
Even though, well, there kind of are a lot of bodies buried back there. I live behind a cemetery at the moment. My backyard is an actual cemetery. But no. The boyfriend's not back there. And none of the children. But it was really interesting to see sort of the mechanisms that kind of helped it fall into place for us anyway. I went from, I don't care, I just want to live with you, to very clear, very specific, very detailed. And in all honesty, I don't think I have what I envisioned, but what we have in some ways is better.
Mm-hmm.
And it is absolutely sufficient for what we require. We didn't need 2 fireplaces. Nobody asked for that. We have 2 fireplaces, 2 living rooms and 2 fireplaces, and 2 bonus rooms and 2 bathrooms, which was a requirement. Not sharing a bathroom with a 10-year-old who pees on the toilet was necessary, absolutely necessary. I will still go in his bathroom every day and yell at him to clean the toilet, but I don't have to pee in there anymore. Right. I don't have to shower in there. It's gonna be delicious. And we have essentially no neighbors. There's a tree line behind us. There is an empty lot beside us, and on the other side of the empty lot is another tree line. And there's 2.5 acres. That property on the other side of that tree line is 2.5 acres. I know, because it was for sale. And I was like, is it out of budget? It's 5 bedroom, 3 bath, 2.5 acres. Like, why is it out of budget? It's perfect. It's all the perfect. Anyway, and the other neighbor is across the street. So
nice. Yeah. You got a little bit of space. You're not shaking hands with your neighbor every morning when you look out your window. Oh yeah, you're not sharing a wall with a neighbor.
Yeah, totally stoked about that.
And you don't have dead people behind you.
The dead people don't bother me. The dead people, but you know, much like your husband, dead people visit me anyway, so it's okay.
I would just think it would make it a higher traffic. Well,
I'm accustomed to them. I have learned to just be like, no. I haven't figured out how to keep them out of the shower. That's not true. That's not true. I have figured it out. They've told me that if I give them office hours, they will stay out of the shower. I just haven't gotten around to giving them office hours yet. I'll get to it.
Frick, I wish office hours worked with the ones that show up here.
No, yours show up at weird hours. So I got very clear, I got very specific, and then I got very detached.
Uh-huh. That unattachment piece is huge, huh?
Yeah, I was just like, you know what? I need a washer and dryer. Like, I will make a lateral move rather than compromise like bigger things. Because on the table was compromising my commute, compromising my children's schools, potentially changing my income and not up. And I was like,
I think knowing your deal breakers is important, right?
yes.
Knowing your deal breakers is important. The gee, it'd be neat to have versus the absolutely must contain.
Yes.
For me, it's easier to be unattached when I am resting in these are my deal breakers, because I'll just know that that's a no, or I'll know that that's a yes, or I'll know that that's a, well, let's check it out. So how did getting clear and then becoming unattached, how did you do the unattached part? Because I think that's the piece that so many people, and people I talk to, struggle with.
I fuck it reflex. So this is a collaborative process with me and the honey. And the submissive in me is really strong, which seems inaccurate. It doesn't seem like that's a thing, but it surprised me when I realized it was there, because I wasn't in relationship previously with people that I wanted to submit to. So I was just like, no, absolutely not. And then I was having a conversation with my delicious friend Mariska Anderson, and out of my mouth tumbled the words, in everything except this house shopping process, I've put my desire first. But in this, I'm trying to be fair and trying to be collaborative, and I am creating misery. We're both miserable. Neither of us are happy. And that was when I got very clear on what my deal breakers were, what the requirements were. And Lisa and I started praying. So Lisa and I pray at crazy 30 in the morning. Naomi's still sleeping when that goes down.
Yeah, so Naomi doesn't join them because it truly is crazy 30 my time.
It's
still nighttime my time.
Still dark over here too. Let's not be fooled. It's 4:15 a.m. Naomi time, and Naomi's still sleeping when they're in a deck.
Naomi's fine with the 5 o'clock club. Naomi is not fine with the 4 o'clock club.
And it was 3:15 until we moved it.
It's like part of me is like, oh, well, 4:15, that's really not so bad, because you were talking all 3:15 crap. I was like, oh, hell no, that is middle of the night.
It really is. So the detachment came out of really frustration, and like, we're not finding anything. Everything that we looked at was leased before we could look at it. Or, he didn't love something about it. His half of the rent is going to go up substantially. So it was really important for him to love where we were living.
Sure.
It was all, I mean, my half of the rent went up easy much. It was really only imperative to me that I have a washer and dryer. I can get another 2-bedroom with a washer and dryer in my neighborhood for what I'm paying now. So I really
live in your neighborhood.
Come live in my neighborhood. It's so affordable. You can't practice your craft over here though, because Illinois is dumb. Otherwise,
I could do the NLP side. I could do the timeline work.
Yeah. Well, come on over. There is a 2-bedroom with washer and dryer down the street, trash included. I think water and sewer included too. So you pay your $800 rent, and you pay your electric and your internet. And you live in Lila's neighborhood.
Right.
Win-win-win. play dates all the time. And you'll be like that close to Darlene. I mean, this is just getting better and better.
Right.
Anyway, I digress. So I came up with my own solutions that would work for me, like separate of this co-creation. And then I was just open to like let this thing unfold the way it unfolded. And I gave him a lot of the you're the unhappy one, so you figure it out. And I was really shocked when he was like, yeah, let's apply like right now. Like we left the house and he was like, so do you like it? And I was like, yeah, I think it could work. He was like, great, let's go get the application fee like right now. I was like,
so he liked it just based on his approach to the other places that you were like, what about this place?
well, we
Right?
also like missed out on applying for some of them because people were like snapping them up. And I
Here.
genuinely don't think that one was going to go that quickly because it had been on the market for so long that they lowered the price at least once by like $51. So, and the last time we had an appointment to go view it, there was an offer on it. So they put it back on the market at a lower rate. And I was like, great, I'll take it.
Right.
Yeah. So that was another part of it. Like we showed up for an appointment and the guy was like, I tried to call you back at the number that you called me from, but they said you weren't there. Somebody put an application on it last night. And I was like, oh. And then we viewed another one that really wasn't going to work, but there were already 3 applications on it. Yeah. So with this one, he was like, yeah, let's apply now. I was like, oh
And you did, and now here you move in 10 days.
10 days. I've done more throwing away than packing.
Which
is part of the packing process.
And as someone who, there's a couple of boxes I can think of who I have schlepped through, I can't tell you how many moves. Now, some of them are things like my old photos and stuff that I'm not going to have 700 photos because, obviously I'm old enough that I have cameras that used film. I
have photo boxes. I was a photography student. I have
same.
photo boxes actually full of photos.
Yeah. And sleeves full of negatives. Yeah. I still have darkroom equipment, so yes.
I'm like, do I still have my negatives? I think I do. Yeah.
So some of it is stuff like that, but some of it is like I'm never gonna use half the shit in that box. Why am I carting this? So throwing out, getting rid of, donating. What a cathartic experience before you move into a new space, right?
But why did I have spice packets? Spice? They weren't mine. That expired in 2013. I was like, these have to have been either from the previous roommate or my friend's mom moved, and when she moved, she cleaned out her kitchen and she brought it to Erica, and then Erica brought whatever she didn't want to me. I'm pretty sure that's where the spice packets came from because I was like, packets? What?
What the hell? Interesting. Yeah, some of that kind of stuff, even just going through the pantry and ditching. But it's beautiful. 10 days.
Yeah.
10 days.
Yeah. 10 days. I'm excited. Even more juicy, Lisa decided that she was moving and started just selling her life on Facebook Marketplace.
I saw the selling of the life pieces because it was like, what the hell's she doing? I mean, it was like everything has to go. Everything's going.
I'm like, you have wetsuits?
Right, you live where there's snow. You do with a wetsuit.
And then they found a house and it was amazing. And I hope she doesn't mind me telling about her life, but was concerned about actually acquiring the space, and the landlord was willing to work it with her, and then it just didn't. It was like 9 days, and it was like, what? And then she was like, this house, and I was like, yes, that house. And she was like, I'm submitting the application in the morning, and then I'm going to the ranch because her dad owns a ranch. And then they moved on Tuesday. That was like that was like Tuesday night, and they moved like Tuesday morning.
Crazy. So that's, yeah, it's such a, when it comes to this whole journey of asking piece, what you and I were talking about, I think before we hit the record button, the one of the messages that has come up over the last few days that has a common theme is being in the flow.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a big piece that I see from both you and Lisa in watching the two of you through this finding a house process. Is you talked about being unattached, and to me that's part of what this message of being in the flow has been about, is where am I trying to push a boulder up a hill?
That is never that is never the way to go. So this is pretty juicy, potentially a little divergent from asking, but definitely good if you're creating, which is part of why we're asking. We're
Yeah.
creating more. If it feels like pushing a boulder up a hill, let it go. Just
Yeah.
let it go and walk away. I got hired. I have a friend who had a connection that got me a work from home job. And I had an office and the whole shebang, and it did not work. The computer didn't work, the phone didn't work, it wouldn't connect to the computer once it started working. The tech guy came out, he could not fix. We quit because it's not supposed to be this hard.
Yeah, all signs are saying no.
Yeah, for whatever reason. Now, if I known then what I know now, I probably would have potted and asked a bunch of questions and gotten myself into alignment, because my desire to work from home has been legit for like 1,000 years. But that job at that time was not for me. And I think I felt it, but my friend said it. She was like, it is not supposed to be this hard. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I didn't
Well,
want
I
to.
think when we're working so hard to, when it seems like this would be the perfect thing, it can be easy to ignore that. But this looks like what I asked for. I wanted to work
Right.
from home. So I'm
Oh
going to
my
do
God.
everything I can to jump through the hoops and twist myself up into knots to make it work. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we do need that outside friend. You're often that person for me where it's like, yeah, that ain't working. So stop.
And what's right about this I'm not getting? What's
Yes.
right about not getting the three other houses that I wanted? Because I wanted. I wanted at least two of them. Well, what's right about it is we now have rooms for everybody.
Yeah.
We didn't have rooms for everybody in those other houses. We have rooms for everybody in this one.
There was some
Um,
sort of degree of settling for those.
yeah, there was. Like everybody doesn't have a bedroom because the basements don't have fire escape windows. But like, put all your crap in that room in the basement, your bookcase and your craft stuff and your dolls, just your whole life, just put it down there. And you go down there and be away from the brothers, and the brothers won't bother you. Or I don't know, maybe that'll end up being Vaughn's space for his guy stuff. I don't know what 16-year-old sweet kids have. I know what 16-year-old nightmare children have. I know what the sweet kiddos have, but put it all down there and sleep upstairs when you're here, and who knows. But everybody has their own space, and that's juicy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we think, like you said, like it looks like what I asked for, so I'm just gonna make it work. But really, like, what's right about this I'm not getting, because
Yeah.
there's
And when you're attached, that's a much more challenging answer to find. I find for myself anyway. If I'm attached to something, it's hard for me to see what's right about shit not coming together the way I want it to.
Oh, that's a good way to get detached. Just ask.
Yeah.
So this isn't working out. What's right about this not working out that I'm not getting right now?
Mm-hmm.
And then just let it be. Like, okay, there's something right about this. Your brain is like a hungry gopher. Like you give it a question and it goes seeking an answer to that question. Oh, what's right about the computer not connecting to the phone? It gives me a sense of peace anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is right in this, so let me just keep going and see where I end up.
If you are of the mindset that everything happens as it needs to and that it is all for your highest good, then I find when I'm in those moments, it's easier for me to rest in that space and be like, okay. When I'm feeling like I need to control it all, it's much harder for me to access that whole what's right about this.
Are you clear about your points of view when you're doing that? When you're trying to control it?
Oh, not typically, because there's usually when I'm really trying to control something, there's typically only one point of view. You know, I'll just be honest. You know, it comes down to one point of view. There are no other points of view. This is what I want, and I'm going to be the 5-year-old who stubbornly holds on to this. You know,
is the point of view like it has to be this way?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you can try interesting point of view. I have the point of view that it has to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
That alone
Loosens.
will dismantle some of the energy.
Yeah.
Or you can just say, I'm homicidal and I pocket pod that.
Yeah. Yeah, right now, gonna have to be a pock and pod moment. Yeah. Know your moments, know your modalities, know which clearing tools will work for you in that moment.
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing though. What about this is right? And it's that whole hindsight is 2020. You know, 20 years later, I can see where, or sometimes even 5 weeks later, I can see where, oh, that's why that happened. Because if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have been open to this. This wouldn't have been in place to X, Y, or Z. And so, yeah, it's definitely easier to see the tapestry when it's been woven. But if we can have the vision of the tapestries being created and rest in that, I don't know why that analogy came up, but it did. It's easier to rest in that, I think.
I agree. I don't really typically find rest. I'm just looking for relief from like the fury or the homicidal feeling. Like, it's not working.
And to me, that's when I say the rest in it is released from the angst, okay. The anxiety of it, the frustration and the stress of it. To me, releasing that and relief from that is rest.
Got it. Okay.
Just resting in, you know what, I'm done controlling it. Your fuck it response, fuck it. That to me is resting in. What's gonna be is gonna be. Because I'm done dealing with this shit.
Yeah.
That's a form of resting in it.
Okay. I love it.
From my point of view. And it's an interesting point of view.
We all have interesting points. That's why we call them interesting points of view, because otherwise we think that we have to be right with our interesting points of view. So I have noticed that I'm a little more comfortable asking.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not as comfortable as I'd like to be. I like to be like your lady friend person who was just like, hey, will you give me $100,000? And just like had no attachment to it. Yeah. I want to be like that. I'm not quite there yet. I am working on asking people to bring the child home from school and like, because my point of view is that essentially it's my job because their dad isn't fill in the blank. And grandma's got her own stuff going on. So we have a friend, Lee's little friend, and his mom and I are also friends. So we have these friends who have to drive past our house to go home. And quite a few times I've had to say, hey, can you get my kid and just drop him off? Like, just kick him out of the car on your way past my block.
Slow down a little bit and toss him out.
And, often it's been last minute because I think I can get there, but no, even though I got to this doctor's appointment 20 minutes early, I still haven't been called back into the office yet. Yeah, kind of situation. And yesterday she called me. I'm sitting at the back of the car line. Apparently she's at the front of the car line. And she's like, hey, does Lee need a ride home? I was like, well, I mean, you can get him, but I'm at the end of the line. Like, I'm here. She's like, okay, we just weren't sure. I was like, thanks, you guys are amazing. She's like, of course, no problem. Her point of view is no problem.
Right.
My point of view is it's a big deal. But I have opened my mouth and asked numerous times. Sometimes I've asked because I don't feel good. Can you bring that kid home to me? I need a nap. And I don't want to wake up at 3. Which is humongous. Gargantuanly humongous. I'm very proud of myself.
Right? To be able to put what your body's needing first, because most of the moms I speak with don't.
Yeah. I mean, I could have taken the nap, gotten up at 3, gotten the child, come home and finished the nap. There was no need for that.
Right.
There were friends willing to be supportive and encouraging.
Yeah, when you're willing to ask, it's amazing. Yeah, because everybody wins in that situation. You get an uninterrupted nap, which, as your health coach, I will tell you that that's probably more restful than breaking it up and doing 2. And the kid still gets home. It's not sending somebody out of their way. You didn't ask them to drive over to the Missouri side of St. Louis and pick something up and come back. No, they're coming past you. And people have, I had to do that. I was at a meeting probably a month ago, and Bear had taken me. Well, he got a call to go on a job while I was at this meeting. And I told him, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. I'll find a way home. Now, this is a meeting that's out in the middle of BFE at one of the wineries. So it would have been a long-ass walk back. It would have probably been about a 7-mile walk. I'd probably still be walking it. Slight exaggeration, people. But it was a long way. It's not like I could just hoof it or go catch the next bus. There was no, this is a room of 80 people. Certainly I can find someone to take my ass home.
Yeah.
But that was an adventure of asking. Again, I don't really think about it because it seems like a non-ask, but it was an ask. And 2, 3, 4 people couldn't do it. I'm like, okay, I know that person's office is near me. That person's office is in the same parking lot as me. And so those are the people I went to first. None of them were going back to their offices. One of the guys whose office is really close to me, he's like, I would love to. I already am giving a ride to so-and-so and I have a 2-seater. I'm thinking, I'll ride in the fucking trunk. Obviously I wouldn't, but it's like, I was getting to that point. This is like the 4th person I've asked. Oh shit, what am I going to do? So, and of course people were milling and dispersing and leaving. And I found somebody, I just was like, hey, and her office isn't close to mine, but her office is past mine. So it just required her to go a little bit out of her way. Mm-hmm. And she could have said no, but thankfully she said yes. So I got back to my office without having to hoof it back 7 miles to civilization. And, sometimes people will say no, and tiny bit of panic started arising, but
You survived.
I survived, and it's that people, I was attached to getting back to my office, but I wasn't attached with who or how I got there. So when people said no, it wasn't just like, oh,
How
how
dare you?
how dare you not kick that other person out of your 2-seater car and take my ass instead? You know, it wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, okay, on to the next, on to the next. And I think when that's going to be a great analogy and lesson for me to remember if I'm in an adventure of asking where I'm getting no's, is am I willing to either be like, you know, Lila's fuck it attitude. The fuck it, I'm not stressing over this. I'm done. I'm over it. Or, okay, that's a no, so on to the next. I think it's going to be a great way of how do I practice unattachment in this? What would unattachment look like? What would unattachment feel like? How can I use that same unattachment in finding a ride, coupled with committed to finding a ride, because I was.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, it was good. I think that's going to be a good lesson to kind of just keep hovering here when I'm stuck and need that inspiration of, okay, committed and unattached. What does that look like?
I feel like that's a good place to pause.
Yeah.
And I like to ask you guys, how do you handle no?
Mm-hmm.
When you ask and the answer is no, what do you do with yourself?
Yeah. And sometimes the no is the computer and the phone aren't connecting and blah, 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 blah. And sometimes the no is, oh, yeah, no, I'm not going back to my office. I can't take you. What do
I
you
don't
say?
have enough seats in my car.
Right? Can't strap you to the roof. You might ruin my paint. Yeah. How do you handle no?
Yeah.
I like it.
And if you would like some tools and resources and support with handling no, we're here for you.
We are. Just post it in the comments right down there.
Both of us.
We're here. Post in the comments. Universal signs.
Bye, everybody.